Hello, my name is Michael O'Keefe, aka The Movie Wizard. If you enjoy this interview and want to hear more top-notch film industry conversations, please press the thumbs up, subscribe to this channel, and hit the bell to stay in the know. The series Lone Wolf and Cub works extremely well for me personally. It is 6 movies. They can seem like one movie 6 different times on a first experience, but if you analyze them individually, they do have their own uniqueness to them. The first film, Sword of Vengeance, sets things up in an extremely exciting way. Think of a movie like Yojimbo, but way more psychedelic, trading the black and white for a kaleidoscope of colors with an emphasis on red blood spray. Think of a 1970s hippie drug culture take on the traditional Bushido film that is a respectful departure of Akira Kurosawa's take on this genre he created, just like the spaghetti western was in Italy to the American western. Our action hero is named Ito Ogami, who's played by Tomosabu Wakahama, the chunkier brother with more swagger than the producer of the movie, Shintaro Katsu, who himself was well known at the time for his prolific output of the movies about the blind swordsman character Zatoichi. Ito can dust his opponents from the seemingly endless resources of his former employer and current enemy, Retsuru Yagu, but his toddler son, the cub in the Lone Wolf Cub duo, Degaro, is the vulnerable one we worry about, which often gives the action more dimension. Sword of Vengeance is the second best in the series, with countless shots that are mind-benders, and is an all-around compelling origin story, setting up an impossible mission of walking a white path in a demonic form. The best movie in the Lone Wolf and Cub series is Baby Cart at the River Styx, which ends with one of the most satisfying fight scenes in cinematic history in a no longer existing Japanese desert, where a slice of the sword of the neck has blood hiss up beautifully, flowing out horizontally and becoming one with the wind. It is not simply that it is violent and strange, it has some poetic or even philosophical quality to it that reminds me that the early 70s cinema was often adjacent to the quality of top-tier novels from the 19th century. The kill quest is in full force in this movie, no setup necessary. The first scene has the goons out, and as one dies, he talks about how deep the Yagu clan's pockets are, and how futile Ito, the man who has killed him, is. There are some formidable female assassins in the movie with psychedelic imagery, which elevates them as kill-crazy with feminine energy, who might not be up to the job, but are haunting nonetheless. Having dealt with his latest wave of killers, Ito takes on an assassination mission with his most formidable opponents in the series, who get their own scene of mass murder, setting them up as an intense challenge for Ito. One of them has claws like Wolverine and X-Men, and when he sticks them in the sand for blood to come out, you can't help but catch a weird, satisfying vibe from it. But Ito manages to conjure his most creative kills for them. While the first 2 movies in the Lone Wolf and Cub series can be seen as top-tier cinema, things begin to wander too much for my liking in the third movie. There is an intent for some central focus throughout the hacking, but it does not really work for me. In the third movie, Ito starts taking on small armies, and there is a feeling that comes in that it does not really matter anymore. There is a lack of emotional investment when he kills all these guys immediately instead of sweating a bit. We do get a relationship with another Ronin, but it is only semi-compelling emotional material, and we end up getting these more intense yet less fulfilling fight scenes, as well as less intriguing trip-out shots for bad guys. I remember being fine with this movie when watching it with friends, perhaps intoxicated. It does not stand out all that much when it is blurred in with the rest, and by samurai movie standards, it is excellent. But by Lone Wolf and Cub standards, you do see a drop in quality in this movie compared to the first 2, especially since I think Baby Cart at the River Styx is one of the best films of all time. If you dissect it like I have, you will realize it is not as good as you might remember it, but rewatching it this time, knowing that, I felt this still entertained me. The same problems that I identified in Baby Cart to Hades is there to be experienced in Baby Cart in Peril. However, it is very cool that the series' top bad guy, Retsuru Yagu, returns to lose an eye, then nearly kill Ito Ogami. Of course, it is done in another ludicrous and impossible fight scene that lacks the feeling of some of the grounded psychedelia that the first 2 movies have, but it should also be noted that Retsuru had been absent from 2 movies. I feel like a lack of interesting drifting is to be seen in these movies, with the same action issues as well as visual strangeness that is unmemorable compared to other films here, but it is still some good stuff. It is weird to be hard-ish on any movie in the series in any way, But this one is not as strong as other Lone Wolf and Cub movies, and is notably directed by Boichi Saito, not Kenji Masumi, who directed the first 3 movies because he felt like the series was getting repetitive. Kenji Masumi is such a cool director that does not have the name recognition that he deserves because he worked on genre movies, but they are the best genre movies. He is like a Sergio Leone of Japan as far as I'm concerned. He also started by editing trailers, which is why these movies have such memorable images. Just check out Google Images if you need to be won over to watch these films. So while the 3rd and 4th entry in this series loses some steam, the 5th one will see Kenji Masumi return to the director's chair to bring back some needed creativity. Director Kenji Masumi, having directed the first 3 movies in the Lone Wolf and Cub series, then skipping on the 4th installment, would return once more to direct the 5th entry in this series, which would be his final as well. It is the most bizarre and I believe the most creative entry too, which is saying a lot. It has less to do with killing small armies, although there's plenty of that stuff, but the completely batshit way Ito gets his assassination missions. Starting in the beginning of Baby Cart in the Land of the Demons, Ito kills a guy only for him to give a piece of information about the assassination job and informing our hero that he must kill other guys for another piece of information. It is a test to see Ito's skill, but also just bizarrely fatalistic in a way to start a story off that is utterly Japanese. By that I mean no other country would have a relationship with death like that or use it in a story like this. Because of the strange introduction and progression into the story, the final payoff is way more rewarding because we are more invested in this. It is a movie that stands out in the series in a way that is integral for sustained interest. Kenji Masumi's condition to return to the series was that it be unorthodox and creative. This movie is certainly that. You might think it's the most boring one, but if you revisit this series, you will truly appreciate it. White Heaven in Hell is the final film in the Lone Wolf and Cub series, as well as the inspiration for the title Django White Hell, which was the initial title of Quentin Tarantino's The Hateful Eight. It is returned to the regular formula after Baby Cart in the Land of the Demons, resembling Baby Cart to Hades and Baby Cart in Peril more. However, it works better than those movies despite one gaping issue. I would say the action of Ito versus the Hordes is done better with more creative and memorable images of murder filling the frames. The final showdown on a snowy mountain with the goons skiing is reminiscent of a James Bond movie. It is totally set up for another movie though, and not a conclusion, as Retsudo Yagu, the arch villain of the series, escapes in the end, which makes people yell at the screen since they know, as the filmmakers did not, that this is the last film to be seen in Lone Wolf and Cub. The issue was that a TV show was being made with a different cast, meaning that Katsu Productions lost the complete control over the intellectual property, and in an egotistical flex, they just ended their series on the weird note that we got. It is annoying, but in a way it makes sense. 6 movies is an awful lot of content. It is seemingly endless in a way, so given the fact that there was no end in sight while they were in the thick of production, it kind of makes sense that the Katsu team wouldn't have figured out an ending to Lone Wolf and Cub. The Lone Wolf and Cub film series came out in the early 70s, and in 1980, Sword of Vengeance and Baby Cart and the River Styx were edited together to create Shogun Assassin, which is the ultimate cinematic experience. It takes the most exciting parts from the 2 best movies of the series, gives it a new slamming soundtrack as well as an English dub, which makes it not just a great promotional project for the series, but a standalone classic. Since there are 6 Lone Wolf and Cub movies, there could have been a blend of Baby Cart to Hades and Baby Cart in Peril for a Shogun Assassin 2, as well as a blend of Baby Cart in the Land of the Demons and White Heaven in Hell for Shogun Assassin 3. That is a fun hypothetical, and it also isn't too late. Just get a new cast of dubbers and a new soundtrack, then make it sound as close to Shogun Assassin as possible. So whoever is hearing this, with the means to do it, should go for it. There's no way you can loop them more effectively than Shogun Assassin, though it takes the best 2 movies in the series, that makes it more Western friendly, and perhaps even more trippy. That soundtrack is one I truly need in my vinyl collection. It's a little too expensive right now for my liking, but like the English dub we hear, it makes you say, "Oh, cool," a lot. Also, look for the scene where the bride watches it with her daughter in Kill Bill Volume 2.